Hi, today we will talk about overthinking, especially overthinking about past events. What happened, why it happened, I should have done this, I shouldn't have done that. Overthinking can occupy your mind and even disrupt your sleep. So today I'll share with you 5 points and my own personal story where I also started overthinking about something and how I quickly came out of it. Point number 5. What you need is explanations with some surety. Basically, when your mind is overthinking, it is looking for some answers, or there are things that your mind is not able to make peace with. So your brain keeps going over it again and again and again to find some answers to make peace with some bad realities. And this is why ultimately what stops overthinking is when you get explanations or answers with some surety. Your brain needs to be convinced of those answers to actually come to rest. So this point is simply about how your mind works, and this will actually tell you the direction that you should take, so that next time you start overthinking, you know that there are some answers that I don't know yet, or there are some answers that I know but I'm not fully convinced by them. So either I'll find the good answers or actually find a way to get convinced by them. Now that you understand the direction we should take, I'll give you some directions for finding those answers and explanations which will help your mind come to rest. So point number 4, you need rational, blameless causation analysis. Now, what does this mean? Your mind has this need to understand how the world works. Like, what is the cause and what was the effect? And what was the effect of that effect, and so on. Your brain is actually trying to make a model of the world and understand the principles of physics also intuitively, heuristically, so we can adapt, live in this environment, survive and thrive. And if you don't have a solid grip on this cause and effect analysis, your mind can keep going into this overthinking mode. Why was she mean to me? Why was I not selected for the job? Why was I not invited to the party? Why am I the only one doing things for others and I get nothing in return? So remember that there are good answers for all those questions, and then there are bad answers too. Good answers are basically the real answers, but many times you're just ignorant of them. Like, you have no idea what the real answers are. For example, you may be thinking that they were mean to me because I'm not rich and they are looking down on me. But that's actually a bad answer. The real good answer is that they were mean to you because you were trying to look rich. You are being pretentious. They know you're not that rich and they don't care about that, but they don't like your fakeness. That's the reason they were mean to you. Now, this was the good answer, but who will tell you? So you'll get to know good answers if you start with personal reflection first, a lot of introspection, thinking about the situations from a neutral perspective, like not bringing your own ego into this. Then you can take the help of your friend. Why do you think this happened? What do you think is the matter behind this? When you take different perspectives, you're able to fight your own biases. And then of course you can go on to read books, listen to podcasts, watch videos, and go to a therapist. The goal here would be to understand the core principles behind how the world works, how humans work. But in the heading, I said rational, blameless. So rational, I've already discussed. What is this blameless analysis? Blameless causation analysis basically means when you start thinking about why things happened, like cause and effect. And in this cause and effect chain, there will be people involved. But you go in with the assumption that even though there are people involved in this, there are no villains here. There are no purely evil, malintentioned characters here. You have to even think of people as objective items in this universe and think of them in a very neutral manner. I said something which he didn't like. That made him angry, and then he raised his voice. I didn't like him raising his voice, so I verbally abused him, and he didn't like that, so he got even more angry and he threw stuff on the floor, and I cannot tolerate people throwing stuff, so I just left the room. Now, in this series of events, one person's ideas, behaviors and feelings, they are interacting with ideas, behaviors and feelings of the other person. One cause is just leading to another effect, and that becomes cause for another effect. Now, even though you witnessed a huge fight, there are no villains here. Elements of both of them are interacting with the elements of the other person. And the more neutrally you can identify those elements, the more blameless causation analysis you'll be able to do. And this blameless analysis is not only important for you to stay calm and continue to sustain peaceful relationships, it's also helpful in avoiding the situation in future, because now you can think about how to handle that particular element differently. And once you have a good theory of what led to what, your mind ultimately comes to rest. And since you didn't blame anybody, you were not angry with anybody. You can go to sleep with a calm mind. Point 3. Make peace with the fact that this is history and not changeable. Sounds very obvious, doesn't it? But when you're overthinking, your mind can lose grip on the most obvious things as well. Let's say you made some mistake. Your mind will keep going back to, why did I do this? Oh, I shouldn't have done that. Oh, how could I forget this simple thing? Why did I use that language? People keep thinking about the past over and over, as if they'll get a second chance. Well, in life, you don't get do-overs like that. You can never go back in history. No amount of wishing, cursing yourself, or cursing somebody else would change anything. And let me tell you this as well. If history actually repeated itself, let's say if you did get a second chance, you would pretty much end up doing the same thing all over again. Why? Because in that moment, that was your knowledge, that was your skills, that was the mix of your desires. Everybody in that incident did the only thing they could do. So you need to accept the fact that yes, it has happened. It was the only thing that could have happened given the knowledge and skills of people at the time, and sometimes even given the environment. So instead of just immersing yourself in guilt, shame, anger, you need to shift your focus to future. Which brings us to the second point. Focus on learning from the mistakes. This is actually a very powerful way to stop overthinking, because so many times when you're thinking about those past incidents, you're just not able to bring them to closure. But if you can clearly lay out what did you learn from the mistakes, that actually goes to a great length in bringing your mind to some peace. So keep bringing your focus back to, what can I learn from it? How will I deal with this next time it happens? Literally write down all the lessons that you've learned. Not only this practice actually makes you stronger because you have learned new things, it also lets you find some sunshine in the dark clouds, because now you can even tell yourself, something good came out of a bad situation. I got smarter, wiser. And maybe with these new learnings, you can avoid bigger pitfalls in the future. And then point number 1, accept the damage and feel okay about where you are now. You have to tell yourself whatever happened in the past, whatever damage, loss, bad things, accident, or even fights, you are here now, still alive, still breathing. You have probably a shelter over your head. You have food in your refrigerator. You have clothes on your body. You must have some people in your life who do love you. And you have a life ahead of you with potential and possibilities. So basically, whatever happened, life is still okay. I am still okay. Things are still okay. You have to really see it and feel it. Because if you don't make yourself feel this way, you'll keep thinking, oh, I lost everything. Everything is gone. You'll exaggerate the loss in your mind. You'll catastrophize the whole situation. You'll even become hopeless about the future. Don't do that. Now I'll share my story. So recently, about 2-3 weeks back, I actually got throat infection. So my voice became really hoarse and I was unable to record videos and even talk properly. So I went to the doctor and he prescribed about 4 medicines for about 5 days. I started taking them. After a couple of days, I had to go to Bangalore. And in 2 days, I was also feeling a little bit better. So I just didn't take my medicines along. Now, this is where I committed a big stupidity, because one of those medicines was an antibiotic. And we all know that the course of antibiotics must be finished. I didn't do that. So lo and behold, after 3-4 days of feeling better, the infection comes back. And this time, of course, comes back with a vengeance. So now I go to a different doctor because the last one was actually a little bit too snobbish, didn't explain much. So I just wanted to find a new one. So this new doctor now saw my condition and she just said, oh, that's a lot of inflammation. So she again gave me a new course of antibiotics, of course, with other medicines. And this time, obviously, I was very careful. I was scared. So I finished the course fully. And I asked the doctor, okay, after finishing this, what do I have to do? Like, how long before I can resume my normal activities? Because up until now, it's been about a week or so and I've been on voice rest. I can't take sessions and I can't make videos. I can't even talk to my team members. I'm getting impatient to be able to talk normally again. So the doctor says 4 more days of voice rest, then you can go back to normal. I do the 4-day rest, but the voice isn't coming back to normal. And now I'm getting really impatient. And not just impatient, I'm getting worried. What if there's something bigger inside? What if it's something dangerous? What if I get a permanent damage now? So now I go to a third doctor and this time we get an endoscopy done. And the result comes that yes, there is still a lot of inflammation inside. And the doctor says you have to have voice rest for another 5 days. And I'm like, what the hell? When am I ever gonna get out of this? And by this time, I'm so scared that I now sent the endoscopy report to some doctors in another city, some very senior doctors. Because up until that time, for me, it was just some non-serious inflammation that would just go away, like because of just viral infection. But now that it's taking so long, I want the best doctors. So I sent them the report and they tell me that now I'll have to take steroids because the inflammation is so high. So I take steroids and antibiotics for the third time. And this course is also for another 5 days. And in those 5 days, because I was on voice rest, not talking to people, I had gone for a walk. And during that walk, I started thinking and thinking and thinking. And that's where I got into overthinking, because I really started becoming angry at myself. How stupid can I be? Everybody knows that you're not supposed to stop antibiotics in the middle. Why would I do that? It's basic information. It's common sense. And then there are some irrational thoughts. What if I'm never able to talk with the same voice quality ever again? What if this hoarseness is permanent? How could I do this? I should have taken the infection seriously from the first moment, etc., etc., etc. Then all of those thoughts just started circling around in my head in a loop. This happened for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then I quickly realized, wait, what am I doing? This is not helpful. I'm just making myself feel terrible, and all of this is not helping my throat. So I took a conscious decision to come out of overthinking and use all the tools that I know to stop it. This is how I did it. So I told myself that at that time, when I left antibiotics in the middle, I had some priorities in life, which were, I just wanted to work as much as I could. I had to go to Bangalore. I had to record videos. And I actually had a strong belief in my immune system, which is like, it will be fine very quickly. And my general approach in life has always been that you take the least medications possible. This is something that I learned from my parents. So all of that came together, and that became the stronger force here. And I was generally aware of the fact that you must finish an antibiotic course, but actually I had never experienced it firsthand, where if you stop it in the middle, the disease actually comes back with a vengeance. So because I had not experienced it personally, that also made me a bit casual about it. So that was my state in that moment, and the result was I left the medicine in the middle. It happened, and nothing can change that fact. I was not perfect. I am not perfect. I will never be perfect. No point in beating myself up. Of course, I'll make mistakes. Of course, I'll be ignorant and stupid at times. Let's focus on learning and action. What do I learn from this? Well, obviously, never leave antibiotics in the middle. Either don't take them, but if you do, finish them. And while I was walking, I'm thinking, what action can I take right now? And I gave myself the answer. All I can do right now is stay hydrated, rest my voice, and just finish my medicines. And as I take those actions, I just need to be patient, because it will take some time. Then I even asked myself, what can I do to prevent this whole thing from happening again in future? First thing, next time I feel any infection, any irritation, inflammation in my throat, I will do self-care with utmost importance. I'll rest my voice, keep myself hydrated, do saline gargles. Basically, I'll take the symptoms seriously and take early action. And secondly, I should actually invest in my health. Eat healthy, exercise harder, so I can improve my immune system, so that I may not need antibiotics as much. And all of that made me feel hopeful. And finally, I thought to myself, despite this extended period of illness, I am still okay. Things are still okay. My life is still okay. Thankfully, all the doctors have said that this is nothing serious. It'll just be over in a week or so. The loss of work that I have is very temporary. And in fact, I can utilize this time to do some other things which I have not been taking care of, like writing, like reading. So my life overall is still pretty fine. My loss is nothing compared to the real losses that people go through. This is just more like an irritant. And who said life was going to be completely smooth? Of course, there will be unexpected things. This is just one of them. It took me about 5 to 7 minutes to give myself all these good answers and explanations, and ultimately I came out of it completely normal, peaceful, and the overthinking stopped immediately. I'll now summarize the whole approach in this way. For your mind to stop overthinking, it needs 3 major things. First, a decent understanding of cause and effect. What leads to what? Why did certain things happen, and what will they lead to? Your mind needs to be in some touch with reality. Second thing the mind needs is some understanding what to do next. Where do I go from here? What are the lessons that I can learn from the past, and what are the actions that I can take to now fulfill my desires given the environment? This action plan gives you a sense of control and optimism. And finally, your mind needs to feel that I'm okay, things are okay, life is okay. So if you can give your mind those three things, overthinking will stop significantly. And you know what I often keep overthinking about? Why do so many people watch my videos but don't like them, don't subscribe, and don't even hit the bell icon? Why? So please help me reduce my overthinking by liking, subscribing, and hitting the bell icon. Thank you for listening. A very important factor in mental peace is that instead of just thinking and thinking internally, you should be able to talk about your frustrations to someone. But sometimes your friends and family can get tired of listening or might not even understand you well. That's why you should talk to a therapist. Your emotions need regular air ventilation. Your thoughts need regular garbage disposal, like once every week with a trained therapist. At Shridhar Life School, we have a team of therapists that you can talk to. Please go to shridharlifeschool.com to book your sessions.